Hey everybody, welcome to the Adventist Hoops podcast. Today I'm here with the newly minted head coach at Pacific Union College for both the men and the women, Landon Banks. Landon, welcome to the Adventist Hoops podcast.
Sure. Thanks for having me on.
So Landon, you're brand new in Angwin there. You just got in a week ago. We're recording this in July 2024. I want to find out what you've been doing since you got on the ground and you know what you're working towards with the basketball programs there at Pacific Union College. But I want to find out a little bit about you. So tell us just where you're from, a little bit about you and your basketball journey.
I grew up in the D.C., Maryland area. Went to Takoma Academy where I played varsity there for 4 years. After Takoma Academy, I went to a school called Morris Brown. Went there for a year. Then I went to Southwestern Adventist University, and then I graduated from the University of New Mexico.
Okay.
After that, I moved back home to the D.C. area, and I started coaching again at Takoma Academy in 2004. Coached there for about 4 years. We're in the league they're in now that I think it's called MISAL League, the Missile League, and we did pretty well. We won a conference championship, a league championship there. And then from there, I went on to coach at Southwestern, where I used to play. And I was the head women's coach for 3 years at Southwestern. Then I went and coached high school in Arizona, in Phoenix, school called Centennial High School in Peoria. I helped assist that team to their second Final Four appearance for the 5A state championship. And then I went on to coach back again at Southwestern for a year as the head women's coach. And then
when was that? When did you head back to Southwestern?
That was 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, 2018.
So did you overlap with Tyler Wooldridge at all?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We talk often. He's a good guy.
Now, he told me that he was both the men's and the women's coach there for like a season. Was that around when you were there?
I think I came right after he had done that. So I think he was doing it in 2017.
You saved him from having to coach both teams. You were helping. You took one of them from him. Have
Yes,
you talked? I don't want to cut you off on your journey there because there's 6 years
No, you're fine.
from then until now. But I am curious, since you guys know each other well, and he went through that experience of coaching two programs. Have you talked to him? What has he told you about coaching two teams? Not just the coaching, but of course there's the recruiting and all of it, right? So
yeah, we spoke about a week ago about the what's happening in the program, and I'll be touching bases with them to just get tips on how to do that, how to manage that. And like you said, recruiting. Definitely you need help with that to recruit for two teams. So I'll definitely be leaning on him for a lot of support. He's always been supportive, and we always keep in touch throughout the year. So definitely someone I'll be touching base with.
okay, nice. Well, we can come back to that because I think it's a daunting task. I'm sure it's an exciting one, and you're up for the challenge. But there's definitely some dynamics there. I'm curious to just hear how you're approaching it all. But I cut you off there. So you were in Arizona or you went back to Southwestern in about 2018, and then from there, where'd you go?
And then after that, I headed back to Arizona to coach in Canyon View High School. And I was there for 2 years, and I helped get them to their first ever Final Four for 5A.
And is 5A the smallest or largest in Arizona?
It's 6A is the largest, so 5A is right below it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why all these states, they have opposite scales, between the different levels. So you never know.
I don't get it, yeah. But Arizona's unique. They have what they call the Open Tournament. So they have a tournament that has all the top teams from every class going to compete in that. And they, with that, they can compete for their actual class tournament. So.
Yeah, California has something similar where there's an open division for playoffs.
Okay.
So and then you've been there since then, and
I was there for 2 years, and then got the opportunity to coach college again, and I thought PUC was a perfect place for me to be to help build a program and coach at the college level.
So truly, you have a long history of coaching. It's something that you've done either full time or at least been involved volunteering for the last couple decades. It sounds like so. A lot of experience you're bringing to PUC. And yeah, let's talk about Pacific Union College. If we're, and I think, I don't know if you know this, but I think people know that listen to the show. I am an alumnus of PUC, so I'm a little, I'm invested for the Pioneers. So I'm excited to, hear, what you have planned and how you're going to approach all of this. To be transparent, our teams last year did not win a game. So if we're just being transparent about it, that was a rough thing to see happen. So as you mentioned, building a program. Um, how do you approach a program when you're coming in and the results are what they have been?
I think you have to start with the foundation of having standards that lead to success. So the first thing I'm implementing is just standards, basic standards, how we are as students on campus, how do we carry ourselves around campus, how do we interact with students, how do we perform in class. Um, just wearing our uniform the right way. Everything that that is at the basic level, being a foundational, I guess, attribute that you need to have to be a winning program. We're paying attention to all those things. So it's it's very detailed, but I think that's where you have to start. You have to start at the basic. What time are we coming to practice? What are our attitude? The basic things that you need to have to build a successful program. That's what I'm setting here, the standard. If they want to be a part of that, that's fine. That's the standard that we have. And everybody has to meet that standard because that leads to success, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Certainly when there have not been the results that you would want at a school, that in itself kind of fosters a certain culture. However that happens, if losing just fosters that, there's a feeling. And so it starts with changing that feeling, changing that culture, changing attitudes. And so I'm just curious, how, what in your past experience are you leaning on to be able to shift a culture? Have you seen somewhere that you've been where there's been a culture shift?
Yeah, when I took over the head job at Southwestern back in 2012, I believe, for the women's team, the year before they hadn't won a game. Um, so I went in and you have to, it's a mental battle first just to get over get over the obstacle of not winning. You go into every game thinking you're going to lose. So a lot of encouragement, positive reinforcement, just letting them know that I believe that I can, you believe in their potential. And then, like I said earlier, you have to set standards in how you run your program that leads to that on the court. Um, so I did that there. We didn't have a winning record, but we won like 8 to 10 games my first year after not winning a game. So, and all that, it was the same players. I think it was just more their mindset and how they carried themselves on the floor and just believing in yourself and carrying yourself like a winner. I mean, that has a lot to do with how you perform. So.
Yeah, and certainly sometimes it helps to have a change, to have a spark, to have a new energy, someone that is energetic and wants to bring about some sort of renewal, and so hopefully you can provide that spark. Now, when you were coaching high school in Arizona, were you coaching boys or girls?
Pushing boys.
Boys, okay. So you have a really pretty even mix, it sounds like, of coaching boys and women over the years. Women at Southwestern, right, and then boys Takoma, TA, and in Arizona. Is that right?
Yeah, and at Southwestern, my first year, I was the men's assistant
Okay.
and the women's head coach, so I worked both sides that
Okay.
year.
Okay. So you bring that experience because it is different coaching men's and women's game. I'm just curious, how are you going to manage those two programs? I know, I've mentioned this before. When I first started coaching at my current school, Sacramento Adventist Academy, I was coaching JV and my son's middle school team. And even that was, I was just volunteering, of course, so it wasn't a full-time job. So there's that time commitment, but also like spiritually, like not just religiously, but like the spirit of each of those teams. It's definitely a challenge to maintain that sort of like connection, like at that emotional level to both? How do you think you're going to manage that?
Well, it's creating a staff that is committed and ready to work to build a program, and I'm working on that as we speak. There's one guy I'm trying to get up here who was a big time player at PUC back in the '90s. Good friend of mine, Brian Patterson. I'm working on him. Just building your staff with guys and with women that believe in the school's potential, that want to work and want to put in the work to make it happen. That's what it's the commitment to working. It's not an overnight process. But it can be done. It's been done before. It's been done at other colleges. It's been done at high school. So I've seen it. So that's why I know the steps that need to take place. And you can't really predict the wins, but if you run your program a certain way and you work a certain way, it usually results in some type of success. How much, that's, we'll find out.
I got to know Brian in when I lived in Loma Linda. We got to play together a little bit here and there, and he would be great. He'd be great if he would come up.
Yeah, he was a great player.
Hmm.
He's a great guy too.
Hmm. Yep, and has done training throughout, so I like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. This is partially this is just me as an alumnus here. Like I'm feeling things out. I wanna see what the new head coach is gonna bring to the alma mater.
Yeah.
So, hey, so you like you told me maybe before we started, you have been here for like 10 days or
Maybe
something.
5 days. Yeah,
5 days. Yeah, yeah. Whatever it is. And I've already seen some video of you doing workouts with some of the guys. Other than like kind of the big picture culture change with kind of figuring out like what direction you want the programs to go, what are some of the first things that you're going to be doing tangibly?
well, I hit the recruiting trail hard. So I was even before I got to campus, I was at Section 7 in Arizona. I was there for the whole week, basically, for both the women's and the men's. I have a lot of connections with Arizona because I coached there for probably 7 years, so I have a lot of relationships with some of the high school coaches. Then I went to Atlanta and worked with a friend of mine who runs a camp called No Bro, which has a lot of kids some that are trying to go overseas and some that still want to play college. And then I've been just networking and making phone calls. I'm just trying to get our name out there and let them know what we're trying to do. And I think that's the first step is get on the recruiting trail and get to work.
Certainly at a disadvantage, coming into the middle of the summer and trying to put a team together. So that's not easy, and it is what it is, right? For this first
Yeah.
season. I assume you got to see North Tampa Christian Academy. Give us your. I mean, I haven't seen them in person. We've seen the highlights. They were our number one ranked Adventist team in the country for the boys last year. What was your assessment? A slightly different team from last year, just with some different transfers in and out. But what did you think?
I think they have several. I think several Division I players, a couple at least.
Hmm.
I forgot they're big. He's about 6'10".
Tony Bryant.
He's tough. He's tough. So I think they're a great team, very athletic. They work hard, they play hard, play well as a team. So I get why they would be the number one Adventist, academy. Even though I'm biased to Takoma Academy, I'm always looking for them. But no, Tampa definitely would be the team this year, probably.
I think TA was number 3 this year. They weren't able to win the SWAU tournament. San Gabriel won, so we had them at number 3, I believe. But
Yeah.
yeah, and so you go to some of those high level events. What other kinds of ideas or avenues are you pursuing for recruiting?
Now with the transfer portal, it's opened it up a lot for NAIA schools. I've been getting a lot of calls from junior college coaches. They just can't find spots for their players because with the transfer portal, Division I schools, Division II, they're just, just exchanging players, and it's hard for the junior college guys to find places to play. So I've had actually a lot of calls from different junior colleges. I've actually had my pick of, what I want from that level. So I'm still working on some of that now, and there's still a chance I might pull a couple kids that really, help the program. So that transfer portal has definitely changed the landscape for recruiting for high school seniors that aren't high major, and then for junior college players.
What do you like about the NAIA level?
It's It's a competitive level. I think a lot of times kids think since it's not Division 1 or Division 2, then it's lower than Division 3. It's actually closer to being like a Division 2 level.
Yeah.
I think our best NAI schools can compete with the lower level Division 1 schools. Um, so I think it's very competitive, and it's another opportunity for kids to play college. And I explain to kids all the time, it's a blessing to be able to play college basketball at any level. A lot of times they don't view it that way when they're young because it's all about Division 1, but you could play NEI and have a great season. Maybe you could get in the transfer portal and move up, or maybe you could have 4 years and play overseas. There's so many different opportunities that come from playing at the NAI level.
So you're sitting down, you're talking to a recruit either at a tournament or whatever, you're visiting them in their hometown. This isn't really fair because you just started, so I don't, but it's, you have to do it, right? You only have a few
Yeah, you
months
do.
before the season starts, so it's just a unique situation. I'm curious, like, what are you telling kids, about the opportunity that you as a coach are providing to them, as a leader, as a mentor, and as a program? Like, what's the vision that you're casting for them, despite not having any record to go off of at the school that you're recruiting for? That's got
Yeah.
to be difficult.
I'm always honest with kids, and they can see it through how I'm as a person. First and foremost, this is an opportunity to be at a great institution, a Christian institution, and just get a good education. And it's a beautiful location. We're in the mountains with beautiful tall trees. And I'm not used to being from Arizona recently. So that's the first and foremost. It's a great environment to get an education. Second, given our situation with not being successful as much, you have a better chance of getting a lot of playing time here and having more of an impact. And that's usually hard for incoming freshmen to get to play right away. You usually have to sit because there's some people in front of you. So this school gives you an opportunity to play right away. And I also put this challenge out to them. I said, look, it's a challenge for me to turn the program around. Wouldn't you want to be a piece of that turning the program around? They're never going to forget what you did if you come here and are able to do that. And so to the right type of kids, that's the challenge they want to take on. Like, I want to be a part of changing the program. I want to be that team that they talk about, like when you say the greatest Adventist teams, that I want them to talk about the PUC team of 2000, whatever, that
Mm.
turned the program around. So when you find kids that are up for that challenge and they see that I'm up for the challenge and I'm not just talking about it, I'm really believing it, you start to put the pieces together that can create change of culture and change, this program into a winning program.
How are you going to approach recruiting Adventist Academy kids?
Yeah, I've already started. A lot of it is just relationships that you have with the coaches. There's a lot of talent with the Adventist Academy, so I'm definitely going to make visits to the tournaments. I'm familiar with the Southwestern one. I used to work that. They have one here at PUC, and I'm going to reach out to the other ones, whether I send an assistant down or I show up myself. Um, I think it's almost my responsibility to connect with the best Adventist players out there and give them, at least let them know we're interested in them coming to PUC.
Yeah, I love that. Just even if it's just the message that is being sent that, hey, this Adventist institution cares, they
Yeah.
want you, even if it's not necessarily likely that they come. I feel like there is a little bit of a narrative that, like, Adventist colleges aren't recruiting a lot of our Adventist kids, but that's great. That's great to hear. Um, if everyone has followed Deion Sanders over the last couple of years at University of Colorado, he has transformed that program in a lot of ways. And I don't know if you ever saw, Landon, the clip of him when he first met the existing team in, like, probably the spring of the year that he was taken, or maybe it was the summer. And basically, he was like, "No one's job is safe." So, have you had that speech with any of the current players that are there on campus? I'm sure a lot of players are not there on campus for the summer, but you don't have to answer that. But my question is, like, how are you? Have you met any of the current players? What are your personnel needs as far as you can tell, and how are you going to fill those holes?
It's funny you mentioned that story because when I came on campus, I came for an interview and I met with the team. And I told them, I said, I'm not Deion Sanders. I'm not bringing Louis bags with different players. I said, if you guys want to be here, and you can meet this standard, I want you to be here. And I said, what better players to mentor the younger players coming in than players who have been through hard times and understand the importance of every practice, every game, and every action that you do. So I gave them that opportunity. Like I said earlier, I have a standard, and that's just what it's going to be, and you just have to meet that standard. And I want the kids that are already here to be here. It's I don't take the opportunity to play college sports lightly. Like I stated earlier, it's a blessing. So I don't feel like that's my job to stop kids from doing that. If they want to be a part of the program, I'm all for it.
What do you know about your opposition in the California Pacific Conference of the NAIA, and what kind of team or system or style do you think you're going to need to play?
Yeah. Well, the other part of your question I didn't answer. We're looking for players that are over like 6'5", some bigs. It's tough to find. I'm working on that because that's really what kept them from winning a few games last year. They were up a couple games at half or close at halftime, and rebounding just took a toll on them. So they're playing a lot of strong athletic teams in their conference. And if you don't have that size to get rebounds, it's hard to win games if they're getting 3 possessions to your 1. So
Did you watch some
that's
games
the
from
biggest
last year?
task. Yeah, I looked at some film and watched some of the games. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I would say that overall that would be the main thing to attack right away is rebounding, and then some decision making. But rebounding, if you look at the stats in any basketball game, whoever wins the rebound game usually ends up winning. So that's what we're going to be working on all in the fall, and got to find a way to turn that around a little bit. That stat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I got to see him in person. They came and played Sacramento State, and they fought. They fought. They never gave up. I was impressed with their just will. Like
Yeah,
there wasn't anybody giving up. So I thought that was good. Just there's obviously playing a D1 opponent where they were outmatched,
yeah,
but
it's tough.
um, is that on the schedule again?
No, we're not. We're not going to play Sacramento State this year. I'll move to playing more Division Ones, and probably in the future, maybe another year or two. I just want to get a hold of the program and see where it's at, and and
So
then and then work our way back up to that.
so the schedule isn't completely set yet.
No, it's not.
Okay.
No, it's not. We're playing a couple of schools that they played last year, like Simpson University, Jessup University. We're playing those at the beginning of the year. I went light on the Division Ones for this year, being my first year, but I'll probably head back and play a few next year.
Yeah.
Once I get a couple of my recruiting classes in.
There you go. Sounds fair. Although Jessup just moved up to Division II
Yeah, they're a
NCAA.
tough program. They're tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was my question before? You hadn't finished. I cut you off. You hadn't finished answering the other one. Just what you know about the CalPAC, and what kind of style you might need to play with the personnel that is available to be successful.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's an athletic league. With what we have here, we're a smaller team than most colleges that we're going to play. Most teams are going to play, so we're going to have to spread the floor out. Whether that has like 4 out, 1 in, or 5 out, we're just going to have to use that to our advantage, our speed and athleticism, and try to just push the ball up the floor, get some easy baskets. And then if we have to go play in a half-court game, we're going to have to run our sets and try to get some easy looks. We have great shooters here. What I really see as lacking is rebounding and defensively around the basket. So we're going to have to try to make it to where we open up the floor and give our players a chance, to be successful.
How many returning players are you expecting on each team?
For the men's team, we have about 7 returning. And so we'll probably we might have 7 or 8 new players. And then on the women's side, we have about 8 new players returning. So maybe 5 that were there from last year, and 8 new players coming in, and 5 that are returning.
And how many spots are you? So you're needing to fill 8 still, or have you gotten some commitments?
Yeah. And I'm looking towards in the future. This is just my vision for the program, having like a developmental team. So so let's say we have 15 on the travel roster, might have another 10 that's just training kids that might not be ready right away. They'll be ready in a year or two. So trying to have that for both programs. And I think that'll help starting to build, that pipeline. You can get more players in with scholarships, and you can start to have players ready to go, for that next year. So, but yeah, this year, had a few spots in the men's team, probably like seven to fill, and the women's. We're all actually the women's team. We might only have two more. We have about 7 to 8 new players coming in already. I have to give credit to the previous coaching staff. They really did a great job recruiting for the women's side, and so they're almost set on that side. The men's side, we're still trying to plug in a few pieces.
JV teams at the college level is not something that exists in our Adventist colleges except at Washington Adventist University for the men, which I think is an amazing. I don't think the YU women have a JV. I think it's just the men. But what a great way to develop players. But as you said, I mean that's going to require some staff. Um,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it is tough in Angwin there. If you've never been there, it is out there a ways. And so, you know, getting someone that is just in the area doesn't really happen because you're either up there because you're connected to the school or,
yeah.
you just happen to kind of live in that area. But it is a struggle to get part-time assistants and things of that nature.
Yeah, that's tough, definitely. I think with the help of getting more student athletes on campus, that'll open up uh, financially for us to have another, full-time assistant. So we're in talks about doing that for the future. I wish I could do it this year, just don't have enough time probably. But next year, I really think that's the direction we're going to be heading into.
Yeah. So you're working on assistants, you're working on recruiting, um, and are you going to have to teach it all, or are you going to be able to just coach?
Just coaching,
Okay.
it's a dream job for me to just have basketball as my full-time job. So
It's
I'm
it's
happy I'm
not
able to
always
do
the
that.
case where you can just coach, but I was hoping that you were going to say I'm just coaching with running two
Yeah.
separate programs. So that is good. Well, you're going to have practices every day, workouts, individual work. Um, and then all these travel and games and recruiting. Are you going to be traveling anymore for recruiting here in the next couple months before school starts?
Yeah, I might do one more trip. I'm just trying to figure that out before because we don't start till the players don't have to be here till the beginning of September. School doesn't start till the end of September. So I have a month to do some work in August. But probably more building towards 2025 class. Just get started on that. That's what I'll be working on probably for the rest of the summer.
What have you learned about financial aid, scholarships for athletics, and maybe you haven't had a chance to sit down with the VP of finance at PUC, but um, how much wiggle room do you have when it comes to financial offers for recruits?
Yeah, I mean, there's for a certain type of student athletes, it's actually a great amount of money they can receive. We have a incoming women's basketball player. She had a really high GPA, and with all the financial stuff we can give her, I mean, she's almost, at 90%, so which is pretty good. So we're able to do it. It just depends on grades, income, stuff like that. So we're able to put some good packages together, which is a big deal when we've been recruiting. So.
Do you think Adventist athletics will ever get to the point where we're offering full athletic scholarships?
I hope so. I think that would change the whole recruiting game for us. And I don't think you need 5 or 8. You can start with 3,
Hmm.
and I think you can if you get 3 really good players and the rest partials. I think you can still build a really successful program. But yeah, that's my hope. I don't know what's keeping them from being able to do that. I'm not sure. Um,
I'm hoping to get, not hoping, I have a couple of guests lined up, but it's going to be my first panel for this podcast coming up that is going to talk a lot about this with an AD, with a coach that does a lot of recruiting as an assistant, and hopefully with a VP of finance, of all from different universities to kind of learn a little bit more about that because I don't really know. You get the sense traditionally that it's more of a philosophy that we don't want to focus that much on athletics to the point where
yeah,
we're, sponsoring kids with their entire tuition. But also, there's things are tight at a lot of institutions, so you understand it from that point as well. But it
yeah.
certainly would only benefit our success in
Yes, I
athletics.
agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. Well, hey, Landon, I I really have enjoyed getting to talk to you, getting to know a little bit about your approach here. It's not an easy situation you're stepping into, but we're excited to see what you do and follow your success and be able to bring some change to Pacific Union College basketball. So. Um, Personally, I'll be rooting for you. I don't often say that because I try
I
to stay
appreciate it.
very, very neutral. But yeah, I hope everything goes well, and hopefully we can feature some of your teams in the future here on Adventist Hoops. And anything else that you wanted to share with the Adventist basketball community?
I know. I just want to thank you for having me on here, and this definitely helps get our name out there some more. So I'm looking forward to success here at PUC. Like I said, it's a beautiful place to be and a beautiful place to build a program. So thanks for having me on again.
All right, thanks, Landon.